Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to a brand new video here today, and welcome to another F1 2020 game ideas video. So over a week ago, I made a video that was 8 things that I wanted to personally see in F1 2020 career mode. Those were ideas that came to my mind after having played F1 2019 for about 2 or so months, but now we're going to get into the onus on you guys. What do you guys want to see in F1 2020? What are you guys saying that's something that you definitely want to see in next year's game? You know, be it small things, your little tiny things that could just make the tiniest difference, but could mean the world to you, or massive overhauls of, you know, certain parts of F1 2020 career. We're going through all of them, and it was really interesting to actually read the comments below of that previous video to go through and make this kind of list of 7 things that we all want to kind of see, as if like you guys want to see basically, because a few of these actually got like over 500 likes or more on the comment section, which is, for me, for my comment section, that's quite a lot of likes on one comment. So a lot of these that a lot of you can maybe get behind and that you'll agree with perhaps, but obviously there will be others that I've missed out maybe, or ones that didn't get thumbs up as much last time that could do this time. So be sure to let me know in the comments below after you've watched this one other ideas that you haven't heard be mentioned in the videos yet, and it could make its way into a list in a future video. But let's get into this then. 7 things we all want to see in F1 2020 career mode, taken directly from what you guys are saying. And number 1 is going to be a cool down / sort of celebration lap once we finish the Grand Prix. That had like over 500 likes on that one comment. It kind of went into detail as well in kind of the thread of the replies as well of the cool down lap. Of course, you kind of pick up rubber once the race has ended. You know, you do a bit of lap of victory. Obviously, if you've won the Grand Prix, even if you've, you know, got a great result in a lower down car, you obviously want to try and, you know, just shake your fist and celebrate the moment and enjoy the moment with your team. You know, usually there's team radio chatter as well between yourself and the engineer, and it's a time just basically to revel in it. And the cool down lap is a very cool part of F1. We've obviously have the formation lap. That wasn't in the F1 game. It didn't used to be until F1 2016. So it's one of those things that it's almost like the formation lap. It is basically the formation lap, but just in reverse. Obviously, you're going back into the pit lane rather than leaving the pit lane and forming up the grid. You're doing the exact opposite. So it's something that, it's a small thing that I'm surprised actually they haven't put it in yet, because I feel like they could have easily kind of put it in terms of the mechanics. It will be very similar to the formation lap. Just make sure the player doesn't go full speed. He has to kind of stick to his speed a bit, I guess, otherwise it'd be dangerous to go around. Although on a cooldown lap, you can actually go back to the pit as fast as you want, really, I guess. But most drivers go nice and slow, try and pick up rubber and whatnot, and just take it easy on the engine and such things. But in the thread of replies as well, I was talking about maybe doing celebrations, and you have in other games, you know, Forza has it actually, which is another driving game that has kind of like these emote celebrations, almost. I'm gonna say the word, and I'm sure people will go berserk in the comments below, but games like, you know, like Fortnite and Call of Duty and whatnot, where they have emotes to celebrate basically the end of matches, the end of your rounds, basically in the game. It'd be the same thing where you can kind of click through and kind of celebrate, you know, fist pump into the air, or point to the sky maybe in kind of tribute or whatnot, or point towards the fans, or wave your hands towards the fans or whatnot. And maybe it could even build into you coming into Parc Ferme, getting out of the car, and then once you're on top of the car, there could be different animations of how you want to celebrate, you know, double fists or whatever, one fist in the air, the classic old Sebastian Vettel for one finger up, or the Jensen Button double hand W for the W if you get the race win, basically. A lot of different ways you could kind of make it interesting, just to give that a bit of personalization for online. That would be quite good, especially for like league race and stuff like that. I mean, you could kind of really revel in winning a league race if you had kind of emotes like that in the cooldown lap. But it also could just be important in terms of picking up rubber, just having that kind of sense of immersion that you kind of get with formation lap, and you can get it with cooldown lap. I'm going to play a bit of devil's advocate here though, and say that for me personally, I haven't really used formation lap in a long time, because it was a cool thing, but it kind of became a novelty because, I don't know, it kind of might be different if I didn't record videos, but for me as a video recorder, it's just a bit of waste of time basically to go through the formation lap. But I guess the cooldown lap would kind of be a bit different, because if you had emotes to celebrate, you would definitely want to have that in videos. And obviously you guys just playing the game, if you're not recording, if you don't make content yourself, you just want to revel in it basically. So yeah, that was the kind of first major idea that comes on the list, and that was a very popular one in the comments below. Number 2, and it's going to be a very similar theme, I guess, to the cooldown lap, is just kind of more control of your car, I guess, in a way. I think that's the common theme in these first 2, is driving in the pit lane in general, allowing us to drive in the pit lane in practice, quali, and the race. You know, literally move the car left and right out of the kind of safety lane, as it were, into the kind of actual pit lane part. You know, have the ability to maybe make the mistake of going too early and having to drive through someone else's pit box maybe, and then obviously in the race, in the quali session, it'd be really cool. I mean, we've been saying this for years now, but in quali, it'd be really cool, especially for online as well, when the stakes are so high in like an 18-minute session and everyone's so close together online. But also career mode is you could drive into the pit lane in quali and just get your tyres changed. Like, instead of having to go into the garage, just quickly change the tyres if you have enough fuel, if you've kind of planned it that way, do that. If let's say you're going from wet to dry and you fuel up the car, it was getting dry, you could just quickly come in, change the tyres very quickly, go out, and in the race, well, the race would be very berserk, and obviously the pit lane in an F1 race is quite berserk. You have unsafe releases, you have, very interesting side-by-side moments in the pit lane. I mean, the one that springs to mind the closest to us was the Monaco Grand Prix, I think it was, earlier this year with Verstappen and Bottas, was it? Where Verstappen was let into Bottas and there was a little bit of contact there, and that kind of thing you just don't get in the game, obviously. Usually you kind of just goes through people if you have an unsafe release or a close one, so it'd be cool to actually have that scenario happen where you have to race someone in the pit lane there and you maybe release the clutch a bit early and you try and get that advantage, just kind of creating that more freedom, like with the cooldown app in the pit lane, basically, because it's very cold and automated as it is right now. Number 3, now this is also another very popular one. I think this was like over 600 likes, I think it was, in the comments below of the video we made before, but F2 to F1 transfers, and seeing F1 drivers after a few seasons, not the first 2-3 I would say, but after maybe season 4, having the ability and the mechanics to have drivers just retire from Formula 1. Already when the transfers happen, there is an odd driver out that basically says that driver's been let go. You can literally just change the text and just say that driver's retired and he just can never be chosen again by the database. And having the F2 drivers that are already also in the database just move their name up into F1, there might be a little bit more red tape maybe to go with that. Obviously Cody's only just now put driver transfers in, so to be fair, we've got to give them credit for that, and the fact that maybe they couldn't, you got to walk before you can run, so maybe this is just the kind of walking pace of doing the driver transfers, and now maybe we never know, maybe they've planned all along for next year now to then do F2 transfers, but they had to quickly just try and get this in, try and get this in firmly and establish it as a thing in the F1 game before they try and do these other bonkers things with F2 and maybe even F3, doing transfers and whatnot. So F2 to F1, I would agree with that. A very, very cool idea. Would be awesome to see, the likes of, I'm thinking thinking back to my F1 my driver days, but Jack Aitken coming up into F1, Callum Ilott, your Mick Schumachers. It'd be really, really cool to see those names in F1 cars in your career mode down the line in like season 6 and 7. Obviously, it would just be kind of chaos towards maybe the end of season 10. You'd have so many other F2 drivers, and it would get a little bit ridiculous. But I guess it's a video game, so it's kind of be expected, really. Number 4 is going to be random failures and the choice of what you do if maybe your car is starting to fail. So this is along the same lines as something I said about just the kind of reliability system needs to be changed. But this is random failures cropping up. Like I mentioned, I've mentioned before having a switch of like if you want random failures or not. But this this comment was also delving into the idea of having a choice of if your car starts to fail, you can actually pull it over to retire. You can physically, actually go to the side of the track and then just go, click retire. Obviously, you can click retire on the main menu if you pause it in the game, but it just does the standard animation. It'd be kind of cool if you could do it manually and retire by yourself in a safe area, or you can choose to just continue on and take the risk of, damaging the engine, damaging the car, and that's the risk you take. But having that choice, choice is a very good thing in video games. Obviously, too much choice is sometimes overkill, but this is like a simple yes or no. Are you going to retire the car? Are you not? It could possibly have ramifications on your engine department, on your engine parts, basically, if you don't retire. And if you do, you've done a good job. You might save the car, but also you might have lost out on some points that you could have maybe just got if you hobbled across the line to keep the car going. So that's an interesting choice. I think that needs to be made on top of the kind of just the fact that I think there should just be random failures anyway. And it's good to see that you guys are also kind of agreeing with that. There does need to be random failures. I think Cody's are definitely scared of the casual player with random failures, but I think the majority of us would love to see that, and we would all take the pain of it because we realise that's part and parcel of the sport we love, is that there is that pain of failures, and yeah, it's part and parcel with any sport really. So I think it should just be a thing basically. Number 5 is going to be practicing pit stops. So this is along the same vein of, I think I mentioned having clutch upgrades for the race start. This is almost kind of the same lines of like being able to train things basically, or train other things, and so practice pit stops instead of going through the contract system to have pit stop efficiency, being able to do practice pit stops in the practice sessions maybe to get your team better. And that got me thinking about it'd just be really cool actually to have more options to train your team in certain ways like that. Whether it be pit stops basically, or I don't know, strategy calls even, or I don't know. I'm trying to think of ideas that you could like kind of train the team without it becoming a bit more of a kind of manager kind of mini game mode. But that's a very cool idea, being able to train up your pit crew. So instead of it being a contract thing, it kind of makes more sense because obviously in real life the pit crew do practice to do it. They don't automatically get a better pit stop because they the drivers signed a better contract. So obviously in the game it makes sense with the mechanic, but it'd be cool to actually have that as a practice program, because obviously practice programs have got a little bit stale here and there. They are very samey now after after 3 years. So that would be a new cool addition, I guess, to the practice program to kind of just shake things up a little bit. Number 6. Now, this is based off one comment saying Martin Brundle for the commentary box alongside David Croft and Sir Anthony Davidson, and having that Sky com box for the kind of cutscenes and whatnot. And this got me thinking. Now, Martin Brundle probably is either too busy or also not bothered enough and too big of a deal for Cody's to get in to do the commentary. It feels like, Martin Brundle seems like a sound guy, but I also think he wouldn't really care too much to do anything like that for the Cody's and for the F1 game, really. I don't know if he'd understand it too much or lend his voice to it or just really be bothered, really. Obviously, I could be wrong, but we'll never know unless Cody says something about them maybe trying to get him in the past. But what got me thinking was this week gone by, F1 Esports just started the 2019 Pro Series. Davide Valsecchi usually commentates alongside Jack Nicholls, but he was not available for this week's for this week for some reason. So a last-minute substitute was brought in of Martin Brundle's son, Alex Brundle, and he sounds very much like Brundle, kind of just obviously like a younger version of Brundle. Doesn't have the same rasp to his voice, but the very much same tone, accent, and it's actually uncanny. Like if you were maybe listening in a pub and you had like one pint or something, you would literally probably think it's the same person. Even if you just heard it very, very quickly, like walk past a TV with Alex Brundle's voice on, you would think it's maybe Martin Brundle. So I think that'd be a really cool, way to kind of circumnavigate that and kind of have that same sort of Sky F1 UK commentary feel of Brundle and Crofty, is get Alex Brundle in. Obviously, he's a racing driver, so he's quite busy, but he's also a younger guy, maybe has more flexible, hours. He's obviously, he does racing, but he's not kind of involved in F1 or anything like that, so he's maybe got a bit more of a freer schedule compared to the F1 drivers to do kind of voice stuff. So I would say, bring Alex Brundle on. I think it would be a great addition. I think it would work really well with Crofty to kind of give you that flavour, at least, of that actual official F1 commentary. And finally, number 7 is going to be teammates buying R&D, and I fully agree with this because I've said this before as a game idea. It'd be very cool to have teammates be able to actually purchase some of the R&D upgrades. So instead of you earning all 500 points in a race weekend, you earn 250, your teammate earns 250. Maybe if you're the first driver, you earn 300 and he earns 200 to split that 500 tally as a whole. So overall, your team still earn the same amount of R&D points, but you share the points between you and your teammate, and he can decide what he also wants to put his points towards. So if it, the R&D tree could indicate that your teammate has put 200 points towards this minor air upgrade, you need to contribute 100 points and you can complete the upgrade and we can actually purchase it fully. I think that was a very cool idea. I think it could work. Obviously, you need to think about every scenario and the fine-tuning, but I think it would be a very cool idea because obviously it is a team game. Your teammate is just as important as you in developing the car, and in the game right now it's just you. It would be cool if it was like a cool team effort, and it would be awesome then to have scenarios where your teammate is letting you down by not spending in the areas you want to, or it happens in Ferrari, for instance, this year. We all know in Ferrari right now the car definitely doesn't suit Sebastian Vettel as much as he would want to, and a part and parcel of that is the car kind of being a bit more too twitchy on the rear end, but that's suiting Leclerc's driving style more so because Leclerc's always liked a more oversteery car from his F2 days and F3 days. So you see it in real life where the car is trying to be pulled apart in different directions. Like the more stable that Ferrari gets, the maybe slower it would get in a straight line, but that's the better way Sebastian Vettel likes it on the rear end, I guess. And you have that in real life, so it'd be cool to have that in a game where the teammates are pulling the car in different directions and you're kind of vying for that. And it would mean that being a first driver would mean a heck of a lot more. Instead of just getting race bonuses for R&D, it would mean that you get more of a say than your teammate. And that, to me, that makes more sense and feels more powerful than just saying, oh, you get some extra R&D points. It means more if you say you get more R&D points than your teammate and you have more of a voting power in the development of the car. So I think it's a very, very cool idea. So kudos to whoever that was in the comments below. I heartily agree with you there. But that's been the 7 things that we all want to see in F1 2020 career mode, basing off ideas that you guys have had in the comments below. And like I said, do continue to let me know in the comments below, guys, ideas you are having. Right now is prime time to start flowing out these ideas. Hopefully, someone at Cody's community manager is watching these kind of videos and trying to take maybe a few notes here and there, because this is the kind of time where they're developing the next year's game, especially if it's going to come out at the same time as F1 2019. It's probably about alpha time, I would say, or getting towards alpha time for F1 2020. So definitely time to be sending out these kind of these good ideas, these good kind of vibes, hopefully for next year's game, and we'll see some of these maybe try and creep in the future. If not 2020, then just hopefully it's something they can note down for future games. But guys, if you did enjoy this one, then be sure to hit that like button. If you are new around here, subscribe for weekly F1 content. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoyed today. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.